Hello and welcome to another Cloudscape devlog. I'm wrapping up the year with this video going over the progress since the last video up until today. I started working full-time on this game in March of this year, so pretty much 10 months as of posting this video. There were moments of productivity and also moments of procrastination. Looking back, I feel like I could have accomplished more, but 2020 was a rough year, and I can still look back and be happy with the progress I made. My work schedule was extremely sporadic. I think I was mostly waking up around noon and going to bed around 4 a.m. for the majority of the year, which I guess is what mostly works for me because if I'm being honest, I'm not exactly a morning person. Of course, there were moments when I just wasn't productive, but I feel like that's pretty much unavoidable. There will always be days you just don't feel like working. I never really gave myself days off, and I feel like I really need to allow that moving forward, because instead of just giving myself a day to relax, I would spend an entire day just procrastinating and avoiding work. So I was just sort of stressed for not getting anything done on a work day instead of just taking that day off instead. But anyway, enough about my work schedule. What's happening with Cloudscape? First up, in the last video I mentioned you'd be able to change your face when creating a new save. Well, now you can do that with a couple of different faces. We have a mustache variation in this sort of grumpy, indifferent face, which I guess sort of represents my mood for 2020. Oh, by the way, this character you play as is named Kumo. I'm not sure I've ever mentioned that in like half a dozen devlogs, but yeah, Kumo. It's derived from the word cumulus, which basically means fluffy cloud. So yeah, Kumo is a fluffy cloud. More faces and of course some hairstyles will be added in the future. I've been holding off on doing a lot of the cosmetic art simply because I want to finish the bulk of Kumo's animations before I start doing that. Since each new cosmetic thing needs to be drawn for every frame of animation, I'd have to go back and fill in a lot of missing frames for existing cosmetic items. Anyway, now we can load into the world, and I just want to point out that the world gen has been improved and the load time should be even shorter. It might not be too noticeable in this video, but yeah, I've made some big changes to how the world is generating, and there's still some work left to do there. So right away we start out with the zoom at a more medium distance, which I think looks better for the default zoom. Before it was at maximum distance, which was a bit weird for the default. There's also some big changes to how you start off on the island. Before you'd read this sign and you'd get a backpack with some food and tools in it. Now you'll also get this recipe book which you can use to learn a handful of starting recipes. This actually is a pretty big change for a few reasons. I originally set up tasks to reward the player with recipes when completed, but this was never my intention, as I always wanted tasks to just sort of help guide the player down a path to progress through the game, and not necessarily force the player to complete tasks to progress. Because I was rewarding the player with very important crafting recipes, it was creating a type of gameplay I'm trying to avoid. Generally with an open world game like this, the last thing you want to do is force players down a very linear path. So I've now since removed all recipes from task completion. Instead, I'm going to create a skill goal just for completing tasks, and when you complete a required amount of tasks, you will gain bonuses that will help you throughout the game without being absolutely necessary to progress. Things such as improved move speed, more max health and energy, and so on. This way, if you really want those bonuses, or you're struggling with combat or whatever, you can complete the task to help you out a bit more. But again, I just want tasks to sort of help guide you through the early stages of the game, and to help point you in the right direction if you get a bit lost and don't really know what to do next. With crafting recipes removed as a task reward, I've now moved the new recipe rewards to tie directly into crafting. So now there will be crafting thresholds you can meet, which will reward you with newly earned recipes. These thresholds will be both for total things crafted along with total unique things crafted, so you'll get different recipes depending on those thresholds. I think this works out a lot better because it makes more sense that you'd learn new recipes from creating other things instead of just arbitrarily learning recipes from completing random unrelated tasks. I'm trying to balance out the recipe rewards so you're never stuck feeling like you need to grind out 50 of some item just to get the next recipe reward. In fact, you pretty much get a new recipe every time you craft a new thing. There's a lot of things to make in this game, so it shouldn't be a big problem for me to fill in all these crafting rewards. Moving on, you might have noticed if you watch my previous videos that there's something new in the inventory here. The new something would be this clothing area over here on the left side of the screen. Before it was just a bunch of rock placeholders, but now we have clothing. So there's actually a whole lot going on in inventory, so let me just break it down. First off, you can equip and unequip your clothing accessories, and they are locked to their specific categories, so you can only place pants in the legs category, shirts in the chest category, and so on. The moment you equip or unequip these items, they will appear or disappear on your character. So now you can customize your look however you see fit. Of course, right now there's only this one outfit, but there will be many outfits to choose from, and you can mix and match them however you'd like. You may have noticed that there's no slot for shoes. That's because, well, it's because shoes don't exist in this game. I know it's a bit strange, but just go with it. When your character is basically an anthropomorphic cloud, you're already pretty much walking on air, so shoes seem a bit unnecessary. Yeah, we'll go with that explanation. Anyway, I did a huge overhaul to the inventory, which took me literally 2 straight days and gave me quite a few actual headaches just due to the sheer amount of code I needed to deal with. But the end result is you can now select quantities of an item to move around. By simply holding down the action button or the mouse button, you can press left or right to change the quantity one at a time. If you press up and down, you will change the quantity by half each time. So as you can see here, you start by picking up the whole stack, then you press down and it shows you 50. You press down again and now it's 25. This will let you quickly split stacks or get to the desired amount, and you don't have to sit there typing in a quantity or cycling the quantity one at a time. So of course you can pick up and move quantities of items anywhere in the inventory. This means from your bag to your accessories, or from your toolbar to your bag, or from your hands to your storage. There's also a quick move button, which attempts to move items to where it thinks you'd most likely want to move them to. For example, if you're just in your inventory here, you can quick move from your inventory to your toolbar, or vice versa. You can quickly move from your hand to your inventory as well. If you quick move a clothing item, it attempts to assign it to an open clothing slot automatically. This is all just to save you the time of having to drag and drop things around. This also works differently while accessing a storage container. In this situation, all items will quick move to storage, and items in storage will quick move to your backpack. There's still a few more things I need to do for the quick move feature, but it's mostly finished at this point. Finally, there's one other shortcut to quick drop items to the ground, which again is a really useful quality of life feature. Before you'd need to move items to your hand and then leave your inventory and then drop the item on the ground. Now you can just hit the quick drop shortcut key and items will instantly drop out of your inventory onto the ground. Items also properly stack on top of each other up to their maximum stack size, so if you drop the same item on a stack, it will simply add it up. Seems like a no-brainer, but it's just another thing I had to implement. I know I just said finally, but there's also actually one little quality of life feature I added in, which is when your bag gets full, newly picked up items will instead go to your empty toolbar spaces. I'm actually going to add an option to let you decide what order items go into your inventory. By default, it will be in your bag first, then the toolbar, but you'll have the option to send items to your toolbar first and then your bag if that gets full. It's all about giving the player choices. I know some games send items to the toolbar first, so for players who prefer that method, the option will be there. Moving on from the inventory, we jump over to crafting. I've made some improvements to the existing crafting system. For starters, if you lack the required amount of energy, there's now these little sweat drops coming off of the required energy bar. I felt like this needed to be added as the faded out bar wasn't really catching the player's attention in testing, and so people would be trying to figure out why they couldn't craft something. Now it's a lot more obvious that you don't have the required energy to craft. I've also changed the required material amount to show not only the amount needed, but also the amount you currently have available. This saves you a lot of time, since before you'd have to go back and forth from your inventory to your crafting menu to figure out how many more of any given material you needed. I also squeezed in this little material name thing, which cycles through the needed materials and displays the name of each material. Before, you pretty much just had the icons to go by, and if you didn't recognize what the icon was, you didn't really know what it was you needed. So hopefully this helps with that. It's not the most elegant solution. Obviously, I'd prefer to just display all of the material names on screen at all times, but I sort of became limited on space due to how I've designed the crafting menu overall. So it is what it is for now. Maybe in the future I'll give the crafting menu an overhaul so it's easier to read and show everything. Some things like this just require the feature to mature more so you know exactly everything that is needed, and then it's a lot easier to arrange things in a way that makes sense. Moving on from crafting, we can check out the cave updates. I've finally got the other type of ore generating in the cave, along with some mushrooms. I added in glowing mushrooms into the game as well. I'm going to try and find other bioluminescent things to add to the caves in the future, just to give the caves more atmosphere. While the game takes place in a fantasy world, I wanted to keep most things grounded in reality as much as I could. That means that yes, even the glowing mushrooms are real things. These are actually called jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. I forget the scientific name for them, but yeah, they actually do glow in the dark. I like adding these real-world things into the game because it's a chance for people to learn new things about our own world in the process of playing a game for entertainment. Anyway, you may have guessed that a glowing mushroom is probably pretty toxic. So yeah, these will actually harm you if you eat them. Though they will restore a bit of energy, they will also damage your health. I'd love to add a sort of illness debuff that also makes you sick and sort of distorts your vision or something like that, but we'll see how that goes. Finally, to wrap up the new developments, I thought I would show the anvil, which I didn't get around to showing in the previous video. You can rotate this bad boy around to get just the right look you want, and then you can place it down. You access the anvil just like a furnace or crafting table, except for that it opens up anvil-specific recipes. I also want to show the most very recent objects you're able to craft, and these are big, both in size and importance. First up is the dock. You'll need to craft a dock in order to get off your island. Once you have it crafted, you can place it down anywhere on the shoreline. The only rule is that the edge close to the shore must be totally on the shore, and the next 2 sets of wooden posts must be in the water. This actually took a bit of work to code in these conditional things, but it's all working now. So you can just plop down a dock and it's now here on the island to be used. You can walk on the dock, and you can also place structures on it. I'd like to think it would be a good spot to stick a barrel down and fish. You can just drop your newly caught fish right into the barrel for storage so it doesn't clog up your backpack. Besides, who wants a bunch of wet fish flopping around in their backpack? The last object I've added is the raft. I mean, obviously you can't just have a dock to leave the island, you're going to need something to actually travel on. So you can now craft a raft and stick it at the end of the dock. These can only be placed at the ends of docks, as the docks sort of serve as a point of entrance and exit from the various islands. Without a dock, you're just washing your raft up onto the beach and it could just float away or something, so yeah, you need to build a dock. Anyway, with the dock and raft placed, you'll now be able to board the raft and head off to new islands. Of course, those islands don't exist yet, and this is about as far as development has gotten. I'm working hard to get a really solid demo available in the coming months, with a lot more polish, full sounds, and music, and of course, more things added to the starting island, including improved combat with more enemies and combat possibilities. This is really just the beginning for Cloudscape. There's a whole lot of work left for me to do, and we haven't even gotten into exploring other villages and islands, or even uncovering any of the story. I hope you've enjoyed the devlog so far, and I hope you're excited to play Cloudscape. I'm planning to release the demo alongside the Kickstarter, which will be coming in a couple of months. No official date has yet been set, but I'll let everyone know as soon as I can. In the meantime, you can follow the upcoming project on Kickstarter and follow me on Twitter. You can also join the Discord to get the absolute latest updates on progress or to chat with me directly. Our Discord community is over 600 members now, and we are very friendly, so don't be afraid to stop by and say hello. All of the links can be found in the description below. More devlogs are planned for the future, and I hope I can get them out a little more frequently in the new year. Thanks everyone for all of your support, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Every little bit of support really helps motivate me to work even harder. As always, thanks for watching.